Hello, Jacksonville in Northeast Florida. Happy Thursday to you. Bill O'Leary coming to you live. Bill O'Leary here from Legacy Planning Law Group. And so I'm coming to you live today as part of our Thirsty Thursday series. I hope everybody had a nice holiday weekend last weekend, Memorial Day, and that you will have a nice weekend this coming up. So what is our Thirsty Thursday? Maybe you're sort of coming across this for the first time. It's a series that we do where I go live each week, each Thursday at about this time, and we call it Thirsty Thursday because we are sort of try to quench people's thirst for knowledge, content about estate planning, wills and trusts, and probates and elder law, that sort of thing. So. Again, if you're thirsting for knowledge, you have come to the right place, as I'm fond of saying. So today's topic is a very interesting one. I had some a very interesting time putting this one together. If you plan on visiting your aging parents, bring a to-do list. Seemed pretty basic, right? So let me tell you a story about a son who had was living in New York and decided to visit his 96-year-old mother in Florida for the first time in over a year as the pandemic seems to subside. And so decided to come down and visit his mother. And they both weathered the pandemic pretty well. But without sort of more frequent or periodic visits, the son knew ahead of time he'd have to really dive into some things that maybe he had sort of fallen behind on, some medical things, financial things of the mother, maybe household issues and so forth. All things that were put on hold during the pandemic and the lockdowns, if you will. So before the visit, the son did his homework. He checked out the rules that he'd have to follow in order to take his mom to doctor's appointments. He found a good car mechanic, make sure the car was serviced. He also planned on taking care of some delayed maintenance issues on her home. So he arrived, he was ready to be both caring as well as productive, okay? To be a good son, but also to help his mom. So, these post-vaccination reunions with aging parents, look, they come with hugs and kisses and sometimes long overdue to-do lists, okay? So whether it's just something small, like you're making small fixes around the house, or maybe scheduling bigger ones, maybe straightening out bills, moving heavy furniture, or even resetting computer passwords. Adult children are often faced with chores that went undone during the pandemic. So letting the problem-solving part of the trip, though, overwhelm the joy can be a real danger. So there are some tips that I thought might be helpful on finding that right balance, okay? Tip number one, ask before you get there, ask before you arrive. Maybe a few weeks before your visit, encourage your parents to start making a list of anything that they think needs attention and to add things to the list as maybe they occur or come up leading up to the visit itself. Have them share the list with you ahead of time so that you can bring any necessary supplies or tools or whatever it might be. And if the list includes anything that requires some professional help, whether maybe home maintenance, maybe doctor's appointments, legal work, let's say, schedule those before the visit and so that they can occur when you're there. The advanced preparation, I will tell you, will let you spend your time and attention on site with your parent rather than spending the entire time chasing down those details. So, next tip, once you're there, sort of make an assessment of the situation. Parents may, over the past year plus, have declined mentally or physically, and children may not be able to detect these changes over time via a phone or a Zoom call. Maybe they really can't tell, and they'll only find out when they get there. So adult children, when they arrive, should make certain observations. What's their parents' balance as they walk, their eyesight, hearing, and so forth? Are they eating properly? Are they cleaning the home as well as they were before the pandemic? Are they following doctor's orders? Okay, maybe you look in the refrigerator and in their pill bottles. And one trick I've heard of for medications is to look at the date that the prescription was filled and then count the number of pills in the bottle. um, so that way you can determine the correct number that should have been taken and the correct number that should be left. And if that number is not accurate, maybe if there are more pills there than should be there, then you can try to solve that. And just watch your parents as they go about their day to see where they might be struggling. Aging parents, you see, might not be able to reach as high, or maybe stoop down as low as before. So maybe closets and pantries may need to be sort of reconfigured or reassembled. Furniture layouts, so the layouts of appliances that may have worked great for years, they may need some tweaking or adjusting. Watch out for electrical cords. Those are big. That may be cords that may be sort of running across the floor. They become tripping hazards. And if any new services such as lawn care or pharmacy delivery might be needed to help out, then set them up and make sure that they're happening and happening consistently. Okay? Another tip, plan your days. Schedule your activities around your parents' routines. If they have, let's say, more energy in the mornings than they do later on in the day, use the morning time to accomplish the tasks that they really should be involved in. And again, if they, let's say, nap in the afternoon, maybe use that time for yourself to review bills, do the shopping, maybe make repairs or coordinate caregivers. How about sort of discussing or navigating difficult topics? When change is needed, it's important to keep your parent at the center of the conversation as much as possible. Okay? They're still an adult. So as much as possible, listen to them and get their input on developing solutions. So look, if you start dictating from top down, it's probably not going to go well. So it's better to ask things like, what do you think we can do? What do you think would help both of us sort of solve this or get this to a good place? And get their buy-in. Turning to sort of logic and relying solely on logic rather than emotion can also help difficult topics. So as an example, let's say your parents are watching TV with the volume turned all the way up. Rather than say, hey, that's too loud, you might ask them, hey, are you having trouble hearing the doorbell? Have you noticed that in the past 6 to 12 months? Or are you having a hard time hearing the phone ring? And maybe that could be sort of the start of a conversation about maybe the need for a hearing test or hearing aids, you see? So it's a much softer way to approach that. Communicate with caregivers would be another tip. The pandemic created a situation where home care agencies have had a very difficult time sending the same helpers, the same caregivers consistently. They're constantly changing up. And the reason is because some caregivers, they sort of became afraid to care for others in the home. They were so afraid of the virus, you see, and afraid they might catch it if they go into a home. So it was difficult from a staffing standpoint. To make things easier for changing caregivers, maybe you can sort of put together a written manual for the aides that provides them the information about your parents' let's say, health issues, medication, what are their favorite meals, their daily routines, important phone numbers of local relatives that your parent can speak with if they become agitated. And that manual can be there for the next caregiver that comes in new. And then make people, make friends, I should say, with people in your parents' life. So for example, their neighbors, their home health aides, local repair people, that sort of thing. They can help observe your parent when you're away and tell you about any changes that your parent may not be telling you about. Another tip, encourage your parents to exercise. Without events to attend and friends to visit over this past year plus, parents may have gotten into the habit of taking more naps or watching more TV. Helping parents get active can improve their physical and mental health. A couple more tips. One, start talking about the future. Creating medical and legal directives, maybe a will and other sort of end-of-life instructions. Hey, admittedly, that's a daunting task for anyone. But without these documents, older people's wishes sort of around medical treatment or their estate may get overlooked. That's just a fact. And so that will usually mean getting a lawyer or an estate planning lawyer in particular involved. Getting clarity around these issues and discussions can reduce the anxiety level and improve the quality of the healthcare and put a plan in place that can deal with sort of any inheritance implications. And the last tip would be savor the time together. Look, it's been more than a year, maybe, in your situation that you've hugged your parents. Have all the fun you can. Put on the music you grew up with or they grew up with and enjoy the time together. So hopefully you've enjoyed this talk about how how to plan on visiting aging parents and importantly putting a to-do list together. If you'd like to know more about this and how we can help, we would love to talk to you. And it's easy. Just book a free phone call with us. We call it our Discovery phone call, 15-minute phone call. It's so easy. You can book it on our Facebook page or the Book Now button, or just give us a call or Google us Legacy Planning Law Group. And again, this is a complimentary phone call. So if you've enjoyed this talk, I'd ask that you like the video, better yet, if you could share it. Again, I'm just trying to get the word out on these very important topics. So again, I hope you've enjoyed this talk. If you plan on visiting your aging parents, bring a to-do list. I plan on giving another Facebook Live talk next Thursday about this time. So again, if you're thirsty for knowledge, you have come to the right place. Bill O'Leary, signing off for now. Have a great weekend, and go make it a great day and a better world at that.